Hey there, it's Diane Forster, and welcome to I Have Today. This is our series where we inspire, educate, and empower you. And each week on this show, I bring on the most awesome guests who are experts, authors, CEOs, leaders, influencers, and we talk about their journey from their own life transitions to reinvent their lives and how their story and their journey got them to be the successes that they are today. And the purpose of this program is to help you through our guests' expertise to live a fully intentional, passion-filled life. And I am your host, Diane Forster. I'm an award-winning inventor. I'm a best-selling author. I'm a speaker. I'm a coach. I'm a mom of twins. I do a whole lot of things. And one of the favorite things I do is host this TV show and have fantastic guests on, like my guest tonight, who is Mr. Dr. Greg
No
Friedman.
doctor.
Yeah, no doctor?
No doctor.
Oh, the doctor's not in the house. So Greg Friedman, and my guest tonight and I go back, not that long, but we're kindred spirits. I think our souls go back a long time.
That I believe.
But anyway, what we're doing on the show tonight is we're taking on the topic of how to not take things too personally. And the reason I picked this topic, because that's something that comes up a lot for people. And when I was reading through some of the notes that Greg had written, that popped up. And I thought that's going to be a really good topic to focus in on tonight, in addition to some of the other things. So if this is the first time you're here on the show, I want to say welcome. Thank you so much for being here. If you've been coming back now, I want to say thanks for coming back and welcome back to the show. But the way we structure this show is we talk about what the I Have Today theme is of the show, which is how to not take things personally. And then I always give an intention as someone who is known as an intentional living expert and believes in the power of intention, setting intentions all day, every day. We set an intention with the show. And it always starts with I have today. So I have today to accept others just as they are. So if you're writing that down, write that down. Get that ingrained in the brain somewhere. So what we also do is then we talk about this topic on how to not take things personally. And I give you 3 tips, tools, strategies, and ways how to create awareness of how that might be showing up in your life and how to turn that around so that it's working for you versus against you in your life. And what I've done on the last few shows, and tonight is no exception, is I am having my guest on from the get-go because I think it's interesting to share my philosophy, my teachings, my beliefs with you, Greg, my guest, and you, the audience, and hear your feedback and your take on it as well. So that's what we're going to do tonight. So like I said, we're going to talk about how to not take things personally. And if you're not familiar with Don Miguel Ruiz's book, I'm sorry. Correct me, please. Don Miguel Ruiz's book, The 4 Agreements, you need to get this book. And we're going to have a link for this book here in the feed and then also on the site and on our page with the show information. You've got to get this book. This is mandatory reading.
It really is.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one of those, if you're on a spiritual path at all, this is one of those books that will illustrate and illuminate and make that pathway so much easier.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
It's a great book.
It is a great book.
And he's a great man.
Yeah. So Greg actually knows him. Greg actually might get my book autographed by him. And if I'm really good and lucky, maybe I'll get to meet him. How awesome would that be? You know, I would owe you big time. So anyway, we're going to talk about that one of the 4, which is to not take things personally. So one of the quotes in here I had written down is, nothing other people do is because of you. So let that sink in for a minute.
I love that because people hear that and they go, wait, what?
Right. Nothing other people do is because of you, right?
And it's really, really true. But people go, wait, but if I do this, they're going to do that. It still has nothing
Yes.
to do with you.
Mm-hmm. It has nothing to do with me. Wait, we're getting right into the show, and I didn't even get to introduce Greg. I'm all over the place tonight. What's the matter with me? Let me tell you how remarkable he is. Okay. He is a nationally syndicated radio host and guide and mentor. His program, which is called Inner Journey, introduces people to some of the greatest thought leaders in the world and offers up pathways and possibilities, but does not tell anyone what to do or how to do it, simply offering up opportunities, which I love. He is also a guide and a mentor and works with people one-on-one. He gives talks and teaches workshops all over the world. And in addition to that, he takes people to exotic locations to work with indigenous elders, which we're going to get into during this. So, all right, now that I've done the introduction, let's talk about my three tips, and I want to hear Greg's feedback, and then we're going to talk about his story and his journey, okay? All right. So, are you taking things personally? You know, how is that showing up in your life, and how is that making you feel, and how is that affecting you professionally, personally, in your health, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically, right? One of the processes that I teach in my book, here's my book I have today. Those of you who can see, because some of you might just be able to listen, this is the new version of my book. We redid the cover recently, so this is what it looks like now. And my book is called I Have Today, Find Your Passion, Purpose, and Smile Finally. And I talk about this process that I developed called the EEDs, which are emotional energy diffusers. And by the way, I've been on Greg's show twice, and we've talked a lot about the book. And
a phenomenal guest.
Oh, thank you. Well, I love coming to hang out with you in the studio. It's so much fun. But EED stands for Emotional Energy Diffuser, and it's a 3-step process like everything else in the book. 3 steps, 3 reasons. Easy to remember, easy to implement, easy to build upon, right? So it stands for Breathe, Think, Praise. And what it allows you to do is whatever's coming at you, whomever's coming at you, whatever they're saying, whatever the energy is or the emotion that's going on, it gives you a moment to just, stop for a second, take a deep breath, because we know.
Yeah, that's the one I get in trouble with. Take a breath. You have no idea. When I tell a client that, they look at me like, I'm going to cut you.
Yeah.
Don't tell me to breathe.
I'll give you my breath.
Yeah, I got your breath right here.
But seriously, just stop for a second, take a breath, because we are always one breath away from feeling better. Always, always, always one breath away from feeling some level of relief. I learned that from Abraham Hicks. So stop and take a breath. Then the next is to take a moment and think. And what you want to think is, this has nothing to do with me. This has nothing to do with me. And it really doesn't.
But can you explain that? People hear that and they go, what do you mean this has nothing to do with me?
It has nothing to do with you. Whatever is going on in that moment, like the sentence says, nothing other people do is because of you. It truly has nothing to do. You're just the receptor. You're receiving what the other person is bringing towards you in that moment. And it really doesn't have anything to do with you, which leads me to step 3 in the EED process, which is praise. And what you want to do in that moment is look at that person, think about that person, whatever the instance or the circumstance is, and say, they're just doing the best they can from where they are. And this is all they have today, and it's enough. It's okay. It has to be, right? Because we don't know what's going on with them. We can't read what's going on with them. We have no idea what's going on with them emotionally, right?
Because you accept that, though, this is a really important aspect of that. Because you accept that they're doing the best as they are, where they are,
right,
doesn't mean that you have to be their punching bag.
Right. Exactly. However, if you breathe for a second, you think this has nothing to do with me, they're just doing the best they can, you are coming from a space and a place where you can actually respond, decide how you want to feel in that situation, decide how you want to respond in that situation, versus going into immediate attack mode, which I know I did. I used to do it. This is why I developed this process, because I needed this,
Yeah.
big time. I took everything personally. So I just think it's just a way for you to have a tool and a trigger and an anchor and a 3-step process. Like you can grab it right away. When something's happening, go to that, go breathing praise. I know I use it all the time. So anyway, so that is way number 1. Number 2 is people don't see themselves or hear themselves.
I love that one.
They don't, right?
Oh, yeah.
We can't see the back of our head. In fact, I was having a hair malfunction a minute ago, and Greg just fixed my hair. Thank you very much.
You are welcome.
And we can't read the label from inside the bottle. So people don't hear, and I don't hear and see myself how I really am. I think I do, but so in the situation where you're trying not to take things personally, again, this kind of goes to the praise part of the 3-step process, the EED process, that people don't really see and hear how they are.
Especially if they're activated. If they're activated, there's only one thing that's crazier than a crazy person. That's a person that tries to reason with a crazy person. That's
so well said, well spoken. I couldn't agree more. Yes. So why are you going to take that on? Why do you want to take that on, right? So remember that in that moment, right? Try and do that. So that's another way for you to not to take it personally. All right. The last thing is really important, and that is do your best to not let outside circumstances take you out of your alignment. And what I mean by that is, those of you who know what alignment is, don't let anybody else take ownership of the way you feel, the way you want to feel, the way you respond. That's your empowerment. That's your power.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah.
I mean, we cannot control the weather, how other people are acting or reacting towards us, or anything outside of ourselves. What we can control is how we dance with it.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Well said. Yeah, because it is a dance, right?
It really is.
It's the energy moving, are you bucking up against it or going with it? And right, I love that.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So those are the 3 tips, the EED process. If you want to find out more information about that, we'll have a link to my book in the comments section. All right. So that's available at Amazon. So we'll put that Amazon link in the comments section. And also, don't remember that people can't really see and hear themselves. Speak clearly, Diane. Speak up, girl. And then also don't let outside influences take you out of your alignment. So, all right. So on to Greg. Yay, Greg. All right. So we read your bio and we know a little bit about you, but I want to know how you became this expert at what you do. First of all, host of Inner Journey, and like this mentoring guide. You're off speaking all over the world. You're hanging out with Indigenous people, and you're making changes and building wells and doing all kinds of awesome work. So how did you get to the place where you're doing what you do?
It may sound flippant, but in one form or another, I've done this my entire life.
Okay.
It's always been who I am. And at some point along my journey, some Native American medicine men saw me, took me under their wing, had me come to their house, taught me a lot about what they do, how they do it, why they do it. And then at another point, they kicked me in the booty and they said, go out and teach.
Okay.
And then they called me back in and they said, so how's the teaching going?
Really?
I said, great. Well, who are you affecting? The people I work with one-on-one and exponentially, or workshops and exponentially whoever they affect. Mm-hmm. And they looked at me and said, not this exact word, they said, you're a schmuck. And I said, wait, I just did what you wanted me to do.
Right.
And they said, no, you have to figure out ways to touch more people. And if you ever work with Indigenous elders, they're going to tell you what to do, but they ain't giving you the how-to. They just go do it, figure it out.
Figure it out.
Right.
Yeah. Remember those days?
And then I was talking to an elder, and I described to him in very specific detail what I wanted in a radio program.
Okay.
And of course, like all of us, I forgot.
Yeah.
6 months later, I have him on my radio show. I'm interviewing away and he goes, stop. What?
Yeah.
Said, I'm going to tell a story. I'm going to tell a story that's even going to surprise you.
Okay.
And then he went through it bit by bit and remembered everything that I asked for. And it was every single thing that this radio program.
Wow. I love this.
Because manifestation
here we go.
Isn't only about I want. I want is very different than I need.
Right.
You will always have your needs responded to.
Okay.
And there's not a cost to that. But a want.
That's good to know.
Yeah. Needs are always addressed.
Okay.
And it may not be in the way that you'd like them to.
Yeah.
Because sometimes the need is being fulfilled in a way that's a little bit ouchy.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you go, but this is not what I asked for. And the truth is, it's exactly what you asked for.
Yeah. Can't get away from that. Okay. So that's how you got the show.
Yeah.
Amazing. And I love it. And you know how I feel about manifestation. I just love it. So, and how long have you been doing the show?
I've been doing the show on KXRN for about 5 years there.
Okay. All right. So KXRN is the only FM radio station in Laguna Beach, California, which is where the studio is, which is where I've been lucky enough to come in and be on the show. And Greg's show is called Inner Journey, and it runs on Sunday nights from 7 to 9 p.m. Pacific time.
Yep.
Got it down.
And we always have a blast.
Yeah.
And every time you come on, we have a blast.
I know. It's so much fun to be on the show. So, all right. So people love stories. What's any stories that you have to share that you find meaningful, related to the topic, related to you and what you're doing, and really to serve people who are in transition, you know, reinventing their lives, because that's really kind of the focus of the show, to help them with hope, support. I know I'm throwing a lot at you right now.
No, it's all good. I'm good.
But yeah.
Yes.
So go for it.
One of the things that I love most about my radio program is I'm a kid in a candy shop. I have some of the greatest thought leaders in the world on my program, and I get to ask them anything I want.
Yeah.
As witnessed by having Diane twice.
Oh, thank you.
And I've been incredibly fortunate, and I had Don Miguel Ruiz on my program.
Mm-hmm. So cool.
He is a brilliant man who is incredibly wise, incredibly intelligent, and incredibly generous of spirit.
Yeah.
We're having a conversation on the program, and he was telling me that don't take things personally. And I went, okay, that's great in theory. That sounds really cute.
Yeah.
Yeah, but how the heck do we actually do that?
Right.
He said, you need to understand, each one of us, every single one of us, are authors. And what we're doing is we're writing our own story.
Yeah.
It's our story, and we're the authors. Now, that means, by extension, everybody else in the world are just characters in our story.
Yes.
Which means, by even a greater extension, that we're just a character in their story.
Mm-hmm.
So if the truth of the matter is that we are seen through the prism, not prison, sometimes prison, of their life experiences and their own authorship, then we need to realize that we are not being seen for who we are, but what they've been through in their lives.
Mm-hmm.
So how can we take that personally if it's not really us?
That's great explanation. It's so true.
Yeah.
It's their perception. My perception of you, my relationship with you, my opinion of you has everything to do with who I am and my own experiences, right?
Exactly.
Right. So what does it all mean?
So when you walk into a room and somebody is saying you're a schmo or you're God's gift to the universe,
yeah,
neither are true.
Right.
You know who you are.
Right.
And the more you know who you are, the less consequence it is what other people feel about you.
Oh, you just triggered something in me that I want to say. So this is so important to you out there. If you're one of those people, and there's many of you out there that are always so worried what other people think. You're living your life worried about what other people are going to think and say, right? And I know I was guilty of this too. before the end of my marriage, my relationship, as part of the fear of before, leaving it and coming out and, saying this was all happening. The fear was all, well, what's everyone going to think? To the outside world, it looks like I have all this going on, but, and so there's that fear, worried about what other people's opinion was going to be. And it didn't even,
But how did you overcome that?
Oh, well, that was my journey. It's in the book. You got to get the book and hear the story. No.
Yes.
No, how I came over it was this. And this is about you, but I'll just give this little nugget.
I can't help it. I interview people.
I know. He can't help it. He can't take the hat off. The process for me was the awakening, the moment that, almost cost me my life. And then just having that moment that I am going to have an extraordinary life. I'm going to get help. I'm going to do this. And then starting a meditation process, and then starting a journaling process. And then, after everything changed, having that moment of clarity where I did a chant for 20 minutes, an I forgive you chant for 20 minutes in February of 2012. And it was the most cathartic, healing thing that I had ever done. And I just forgave myself, forgave him, forgave everyone of everything, and came out of that literally awakened and said, you know what? No more. I'm the one responsible for the condition of my life. I'm the one responsible for my happiness. I get to decide how I want to live, how I want to feel, how I want to respond to things. And that really opened things up. And then I started the immersion, of thought leaders, teachers, taking in the content, going and attending things, and was just a sponge for all of it. And it had awakened my intuition and my channeling, and just continued to get so many downloads all the time.
That's what I'm talking about when I say that you get what you need.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to get to the point where they're almost going to end their lives.
Right.
Ever.
Right.
But through that experience, she had a catalytic moment.
Yeah.
She had a moment of clarity, and she got what she needed. And instead of having to pay for that, you got to reap the benefits of that. And you got reward after reward and gift after gift and all kinds of things that you celebrate your life so gorgeously now.
Oh, thank you. Well, and it's, that law of polarity, and on the one end is this, horrific thing, and just on the other end of it is as extraordinary, as bad as it is on one side, it's so extraordinary on the other side if we choose to see it and see the gifts and things.
Yeah, the amount of stuff that's going to be piled on your plate throughout your life is not going to change dramatically.
No.
What is going to change is your vision of it.
Yeah.
And if you could recognize that and not take it all so personally,
right,
all of a sudden, it's like carrying around a big old backpack full of rocks. And every time you don't take something personally, you're removing a stone from that backpack.
Yeah.
And you become lighter, and you have more energy, and you have more fluidity, and you could do more things. And aside from that, if you're not taking yourself personally, you're not carrying around that big rucksack full of rocks,
right,
it's easier to get hugged. It's easier to be held.
Yeah, that's good. I love that metaphor, and I love that explanation. It's so true. And that could lead into a whole nother show on how to let things go. You know what I mean? But that is one of the biggest benefits of not taking things personally, is being able to let go of that crap, man. It just doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. So, okay. All right. So, what's been your biggest challenge? Do you have any?
Holy schmoly.
I know. Well, you wrote something here. You don't. No. Really? You know what? I'd rather talk more about your travels. Let's talk about that and what's coming up with you in the next few months, because I know you've got some big stuff planned. So
do you want to go in a particular direction? I'll follow you wherever you want to go.
No, I think what you do is so fascinating, and I think allowing other people to find out about the other cultures and the way people are living and how you're serving, it really opens people's eyes to, like, get me out of my small head world, like my tunnel vision, my problems, my debt, my bills, my clunker car, my whatever, that there's a whole other big world out there, and you're doing extraordinary things out there. I want you to talk about what you're building.
One of the things that I think Diane's referring to is I take people to work with indigenous elders in exotic locations all over the world.
Mm-hmm.
For example, I've taken people 12 hours up a tributary of the Amazon to work with the shaman in the middle of the jungle.
Mm.
Okay, so aside from the unbelievably stunning vista, albino dolphins, the only place in the world where you're going to see freshwater dolphins.
Wow.
And just every kind of animal and the food, everything.
Sounds
is
amazing.
Such a visceral experience. There's a few main reasons I do this. One of them is, in order to get perspective, you have to get people's noses away from the mirror. In other words, it is vital to get them out of everything that they're used to.
Yeah.
Throw somebody that's a city boy or girl into the jungle, and their whole world is removed from them.
Yeah.
Because where magic happens is the void, the place of nothing, and therefore nothing familiar as well. When you have nothing, the possibility of everything and anything is evident, is visceral, is so palpable.
Mm-hmm.
So I take them away from there. And then I go through a lot of work to vet the appropriate people to work with.
Mm-hmm.
And those people are elders that have had the medicine passed down to them generation after generation after generation. And a lot of people ask, why indigenous elders?
Mm-hmm.
Because indigenous elders are simple in their expression.
Okay.
And the truth is always simple.
Yes.
It's just
beautiful.
that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's a tough gig, because people go away from everything they know and they're freaked out in the beginning.
Yeah.
And then there's this transition where all of a sudden the energy and the spirit and the recognition of self become so much more important than trying to grab onto where they were.
Mm-hmm.
Then my hardest day, every single journey that I do, is the day I take them out of the jungle or out of the outback, or the first day away from something so exotic, because it all made sense in the jungle. Mm-hmm. It all made sense working with Aborigine elders. Okay. Now they're sitting here going, I don't have a handrail, help.
Right.
And that's when I act and do what I do best, which is as a bridge.
Okay.
So I guide them from what was known into how do you apply that to your everyday life.
Okay.
And, I've seen people act out in so many different ways. I went into the jungle once with a trainer. Mm-hmm. She got out of the jungle and she was so freaked out that all she did was incessantly exercise.
Really?
And I made her stop. And you know what she did the second she stopped?
What?
Cried like a baby.
Oh, wow. She had major things to release.
And then when she was done crying, she recognized that which she learned in the jungle is now in her and can't be taken away. Okay. And like all of us,
powerful. We
sometimes forget our own power and that it can't be taken away. Now, we could give it away,
right? But
it can't be taken away.
Right. That's good. Give it away. You can give it away, but you can't be taken away, right?
Yeah.
That's powerful.
And a lot of people don't know that. I mean, it's really, really true. You are giving away your power in instances. Mm-hmm. You don't have to. It's a choice. And sometimes we do it because it's a pattern.
Right.
But it's still ultimately our responsibility, just like our happiness is and everything else throughout our lives. Our lives are our responsibility.
Amen. I agree. I couldn't agree more. Yes. Yeah. I wish more people, hopefully more people will get that and really let that resonate and sink in, because you are in control of your life. And there is no reason why you should have any day where you're not living in your power. And if you are unhappy in a relationship, in a job, in that body, whatever it is, you've got today. I have today to decide I want to live differently. I want to feel differently. You have that power. And it sounds like you break it all down to the basics where that comes comes up. So
yeah, I love I have today because it's very similar to the 4 agreements. It's simply this. You're the author. What are you writing in this moment? What are you writing for this day?
Yeah.
And is this the story you want to be writing? If it's not, you need to remember you are the author.
Yeah.
You're not a victim of your life. You are the one who is, you're the scribe.
Right. And you get a blank sheet of paper every day.
And every moment.
Yeah, every moment. Even better, every moment. Every moment is a moment to decide right then and there.
Right.
I love it. Well, we're so on the same page. All right, so you kind of shared this and kind of answered this already, but how do you live the I have today way?
Well, that's it, is that I get to every moment make a choice. Do I want to act or do I want to react?
Yeah.
And if I'm acting, I'm writing my own life. If I'm reacting, I'm giving away my life. And it's a very, it's a constant struggle. I'm not alone. I know that. Each one of us makes a choice. If somebody's coming to you and they're angry at you, you have a myriad of ways that you can react. But it's always better to respond.
Right, right.
It's because responding is a choice and reacting is a pattern.
Yep.
And you could live as a victim of your life, or you could live, more accurately, you could exist as a victim of your life, or you could live empowered throughout your life.
Yes, yes. Wow. I vote for empowered any day, right? Okay, so Greg's show, again, is Inner Journey, and how can people find out more information about you? And by the way, he does have phenomenal guests, the most amazing guests, so tune into his show. Well,
Even if you do say so yourself?
No. That wasn't a plug for myself at all. No, seriously. His show is fantastic, and you do have amazing guests, great content, so tune into it. So how can people find out more information about you and the show?
If you are in Orange County, California, you could listen in on the show live on KX 93.5. If you're not, you can listen throughout the world on kx935.com. If you want to find out more about me, simple, it's my name, gregfriedman.com, FRIEDMAN.
Greg Friedman. Yeah, so join his group, go travel the world with them and learn, hear him speak and teach and lead and bridge that gap for you and make that happen for you.
And come to India. I'm going to go speak in India.
Yes. So let's make sure to put information. We will put information in the link on that trip available for you right here. And then we'll also do it on the other media channels as well. So people can find out more information to do that.
Perfect.
Sound good? All right. Is there any one final piece of advice that you have for the audience before I offer them a little something?
Every single moment is a gift. And you could choose to act in gratitude of that, or you could negate it.
Yeah.
And, the two main keys to happiness, gratitude and forgiveness.
Yeah.
And if you could live in both of those energies, you're truly living a well-experienced life.
Yes, I agree. Gratitude and forgiveness is really the foundation of it all.
Yep.
It is. Okay, well, you've been an amazing guest, as I knew you would be. And of course, I'm going to have you on because you and I could talk for hours.
Oh, we're not even scratching the surface.
We didn't even scratch the surface. There's so many things that we could talk about. But this was great, amazing content. I love having you here. Isn't he awesome, you guys? So please follow him, gregfriedman.com. And thank you. I'm holding up my book. And don't forget to not take things personally. Now, I want to ask you something. I don't know where you are in your life, but if you are feeling stuck, you are feeling like there's got to be more, you don't know what your passions and purpose is, you want greater clarity in your life, you want more focus, more confidence, more money, more love, more success, all of that stuff, I have created a 10 Days to Your Passion and Purpose program for you guys. This is a phenomenal 10-day program in 10 short days for $10 little. That's $1 a day. I figured out
a buck a day.
A buck a day. That's it. A buck a day. I mean, it's
Please.
like 2 cups of coffee, really.
2 cups of coffee. You go to a much cheaper place than we do. Yeah.
But seriously, in all seriousness, what happens is we get stuck and we can't get out of our own way. We have these limiting beliefs and these mental blocks, and then we can't figure out the road and the pathway out of there. Well, this 10-day program figures it out for you. I've taken a culmination of everything that I've learned, tons of philosophies over the years, challenges that clients come to me with, and I figured it out. So in 10 days, this asks you the right questions. It's filled with fun, fantastic exercises and processes, and each day builds on the next day. So at the end of it, imagine feeling focused and clear on what it is you want, how it is you want to feel, and how you want to live, and how to get there. Here's your roadmap, okay?
And it works.
Oh, thank you, thank you. Well, I'm results-driven, rapid results-driven. So if you want to participate in the 10 Days to Your Passion and Purpose program, go to ihavetoday.com/passion purpose, and you can get it right there. So ihavetoday.com/passion purpose. And if you want to find out more information about me, go to dianeforster.com. Please subscribe here on to our Facebook page at I Have Today with Diane Forster, and also on YouTube. Same thing, I Have Today with Diane Forster. Spread the word. We are nothing. Greg's show, my show, and what we're doing, we're here to serve and help you, and we're nothing without you. So we're so grateful and appreciative of you. This is our show for today. Don't forget, the theme of the show is how to not take things personally. And the intention is, I have today to accept people just as they are. Okay, so with that, we're going to sign out. And I want you to know that I love you madly. I'm so grateful that you were here. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
Friend.
Thank you.
And we'll see you next time. Take care. Thanks. Bye-bye.